This is Radio Brockley.
Hello and welcome to Brockley News, Radio Brockley's weekly show, keeping you up to date with all you need to know about what's happening in and around the hospital. I'm Alan Joyce, and coming up tonight we'll be hearing from Steve Archie Palmer from the London Wheelchair Rugby Club, who'll be telling us a bit more about the sport. Also tonight we'll be hearing about the hospital's forthcoming Buttercup Walk, and Vicky Brady from the RNOH Charity will be telling us more about their fundraising initiatives. We'll also be hearing a very special message from Her Royal Highness Princess Eugenie, the patron of the RNOH Charity, as well as His Royal Highness Prince Andrew. Then at 7:30, your chance to win some Radio Brockley goodies without leaving bed on Bedside Bingo with David Rauch. And at 8 o'clock tonight is all your choice of tunes on the Sunday Request Show with Keith Reeve. So stay tuned to London's official #1 hospital radio station, your #1 recuperation station, Radio Brockley. So first tonight we hear from a chap called Steve Archie Palmer, who is a member of the London Wheelchair Rugby Club. He came down to the Aspire National Training Centre recently, based here in the hospital grounds, and our reporter Jack Andrew went along to meet him.
My name is Jack Andrew, Radio Brockley, and I've got here with me a nice bright Wednesday morning with the sun shining, and we're just sitting outside the Aspire Centre, and I'm chatting with Archie, Stephen Palmer. So we've got your name, Stephen, and we've got Archie. Do you want to explain a little bit about that?
Well, in typical rugby fashion, we was on a tour in Australia. There are a few events that happened, probably not broadcastable, but in typical rugby fashion, I've got the nickname Archie Palmer, and I've been that way probably since about 1999 now.
And that explains that Archie is the coach of the London Wheelchair Rugby Club, and that's your job here at the moment?
It is. I'm actually chairman and head coach of the club. I've been in charge of the club since 2000 now, so quite some time, but I still play as well.
Your background, Paralympics. Now that's quite something. Tell us a little bit more about that.
I was very fortunate to compete for my country. I was 11 years in a Great Britain team. Competed in Athens Olympics and Beijing Olympics. 3 World Championships, 4 European Championships, so not a bad career.
And it's quite an involved sport. I am a rugby man myself, actually. I won't boast about under 21 for Scotland, but I broke my thigh, so I was laid up as well. But yeah, now what about the rules for the actual game that you play, as opposed to what I used to play? Things like the scrum, the line-out?
There are no scrums and there are no line-outs. It's called wheelchair rugby because of, I would imagine, the pace of the hits and the violence involved. Rather than the rules that are involved. The rules are more of a hybrid of American football, because you have runners and blockers, a little bit of basketball, because you have an over and back and it's played on a basketball court, maybe a little bit of volleyball and a bit of ice hockey in there as well. So we're kind of like magpies. We steal a lot of things from other sports.
What about the referee? Is he mobile and wheelchair, and what about touch judges, things like that, the officials, or is it just down to one person?
You have 3 officials, you have 2 referees on court, and you also have a technical official who sits on the bench. Usually they're able-bodied at the top level, international level at Paralympics, but at club level they can be in chairs as well.
The number of players on one side?
On court it's 4 players, but you're allowed a squad of up to 12, so at any time is rolling subs. So those 12 players can be rolled on and off at any time.
What about the age groups?
Age groups? Well, I'm 41. Actually, I'm 42. I just had my birthday. I'm actually 42. I know there are some players that played in the Olympics up to the age of 50. We do have a young guy who plays for the North Wales team, who's actually 14 years old. So it's quite an age group.
Do you have any, like we have mini rugby, even younger than that, perhaps?
At the moment, there is a thing called the Flying Wheels, where there are, it goes out to schools with disabilities. So there is that, but it's not involved in the sport generally as, at the top level. But as I say, with Tom at the North Wales Club at 14, it's quite an expansive group as it is.
What about the gender?
Gender, it's a mixed sport. We have 3 girls who play on our team. I think there is about 8 or 9 women who play up and down the country.
Now, you've got to tell me about fitness, because it's obviously a different game to the one that we see on telly. So you've got to be using different muscles, different speeds, different attitudes towards the game. What about the actual fitness of the players, and what do you need to concentrate on?
Well, obviously it would be upper body strength. Your arms are a bigger factor than your legs. For a majority of us, we have a 3-hour session on a Monday and a 2-hour session on a Wednesday, and we give at least an hour per session to fitness, just with moving your chair. In between training sessions, I expect players to go into a gym and lift weights, or maybe do some hand bike cycling. So there's plenty of cross training can go on as well.
The wheelchairs themselves, now I've seen them, so they take an absolute hammering. I've seen some of these tackles, do you still call them tackles? When you're just blocking, like you say, and just going through and taking people out on the wheelchairs. A few rollovers as well and tumbles. What about the chairs themselves? How sturdy really are they?
Well, the chair, they're quite expensive, but we do have funds to be able to get players into chairs, and we have a stock of chairs, so we have to have new players come down. We do have chairs they can jump in before they even consider buying. But the chairs they're made of aluminium generally. They do take a hell of a beating, because we do like to hit each other quite hard. But your average chair will last you 3 to 4 years. So very sturdy, but they are designed that way.
So if you do have a bit of damage or anything, is there a replacement chair that you can continue with? Have you got a stack on the side?
There are replacement chairs, but because they're made of aluminium, they're easily repairable. So we do have quite a few wheelchair companies that we work with where we can send the chair. It's a case of getting it welded back together, back on your wheels, and away you go.
How about the venues? Indoor, outdoor, varied, or what venues do you actually go to and play in?
We use the Aspire National Training Centre as our base. We use their court, and it's always indoors. We just finished our national championships, which was last weekend, first weekend of May, and that was actually at the Copper Box at the Olympic Park. We were lucky enough that we have 2 London teams, and both London teams are in the final, so it's been a good season for us.
What sort of positions are played? Do you have the sort of forwards, backs, speedy people, or how does it actually work with the 4 of you interacting on court?
Well, when you come into the sport, you'll be classified by physios, occupational therapists, and you'll be given a ranking or a rating. It's called a class, and that all dictates on how much disability you've got as to what points you are. Now, depending on the 4 points on court, can range for anything from 0.5 all the way up to 3.5s, increasing in 0.5 increments. So there are 7 classes. Of those 7 classes, your 4 players on court, your points can't exceed 8 points. So for every high point player you have to have a low point player. So that means that it's quite inclusive, that even the weakest player will have a role on court. So it tends to be the weaker players on court are more your defensive players. Like in American football, there'll be blockers, whereas your players with more function would carry the ball more, score more goals, and be your more attacking players.
How does the point system work for scoring and converting, or how does it work with the, in comparison to the actual game that we're used to watching?
A goal is worth 1 point, regardless of what points you carry as a player. Every goal is still worth 1 point, but as I say, the low pointers are worth their weight in gold, because if a low point player with let's say a ranking of 0.5 can take out a player with a ranking of 2.5, obviously you've created a massive mismatch for the opposition.
What sort of drive and enthusiasm is needed to actually join in the sport?
You'll find that people who play wheelchair rugby are very ambitious, despite their disabilities. You'll find that they always want to travel. They've got a lust for life. They're always going to concerts or gigs. You see a lot of people in wheelchairs who are quite down on themselves. You'll find that wheelchair rugby players are very positive in all aspects of life.
How would you encourage someone, say there's a youngster listening to us now and saying that, okay, I might be in a wheelchair some of the time, I like my rugby and I'd like to actually join wheelchair rugby?
Come down and see us. You know, you don't have to play straight away. Come down, have a chat, meet the guys and girls. There is absolutely no pressure on you whatsoever. Come down, have some fun. If it's fun, continue doing it. If it's not fun, then maybe it's not for you. I'm sure there are plenty of sports out there, but from my point of view, this is the best sport of them all.
Where do they find you?
Come down to the National Training Centre at Aspire, or you can go on to londonwrc.com. All our contact details are there. Just give us a call and we'll have a chat.
What achievements? You mentioned one or two achievements. Have you got anything else that you're running for at the moment? Anything coming up, finals or semi-finals of any particular national achievement?
The domestic season has just finished, but we have got the Europa Cup coming up, which is essentially the wheelchair rugby version of the Champions League. So it's the champions from the major teams in Europe all come together and they compete to find out who's the best team in Europe. This will be held in this country, up in Stockport. I think it's in July, so that's what we're training for now. But apart from that, you know, this is kind of closed season now, so it's a bit of time for me as coach to work with some of the development players to get them ready for next season.
So we mentioned briefly just how physical everything is. What no, we're in the right place for it here at the hospital here, but what about injuries? I've seen some people coming off chairs at a fair old rate. Any troubles really with injuries, or is that all backed up by the hospital and by the coaching team?
Injuries do happen, but they're few and far between, and they're rarely major. I mean, I've broken a finger before. Again, you know, I've come out my chair and I've, you know, cut my chin open, but you know, you're playing a contact sport, and to be fair, we all heal up pretty quickly, so we're ready to go again next week.
The actual cost of the sport, it would appear to me it's just a very, very expensive sport, not just the wheelchairs, but the travel and all the arrangements that you have to make to actually get around. And we've spoken about venues, and you even said venues going worldwide in the sport. How do you actually cover the cost?
Well, luckily enough, I've signed up with a charity fundraising company who raise funds for us, because the club does hold a charity status, and they've managed to get funds in for us. And this season I've managed to lighten the burden of cost on all the players, because we've got funds coming in from these fundraisers. So the cost of the sport is quite a lot, but luckily I've managed to lighten that burden for everyone.
Now, the big plug now to start recruiting. How do you think we could help, maybe at Radio Brockley here or throughout the hospital, to actually promote your sport? This is a lovely interview. Thank you very much for doing that, Archie. It's told us a lot about it, and if we can get people involved in it, we'd only be too happy to actually say now and again on our shows that, have you actually popped down to see Archie? Have you had a look at what you can actually do on the rugby, not a rugby pitch now, the rugby, what would you call it? The rugby courts, okay, the rugby courts, and just to actually get involved. Sounds fascinating, but how can we actually help?
Well, on June the 22nd, we're actually running an event called the Aspire 500, where me and a few other players from the club, some of them are GB internationals, we're going to be doing 500 laps of the Aspire court. And this is a fundraiser for the Aspire charity. But while the 500 laps is going on, in the middle of the court, there will be an opportunity for new players, whether they are eligible to play or not, to come down and play a bit of wheelchair rugby, maybe even do a few laps for us. So June the 22nd, the Aspire 500, come down and see us, have a chat.
Did I see that the ball's round, not our usual oval-shaped ball? Is it a round one?
Yeah, that's right. It's actually a version of what's used as volleyball.
Is it that heavy?
No, it's not heavy at all. You know, we've got enough mobility issues as it is without trying to play with an egg-shaped ball, so a round ball just works for the sport.
How do you carry the ball while you're still operating the wheels of the wheelchair?
You set your chair up so you can put the ball in your lap, so it's on your lap, so you're free to use your arms to push.
How's the ball taken from you by another opposition player? How do they actually get it out of your lap and away from your chair?
The opposition players are allowed to whip the ball off your lap, but there's no bodily contact. So if you shield your ball with your arm and they touch your arm, it's actually a penalty, and they'll have to spend a minute in the sin bin or unless we score a goal, whichever comes first.
Well, I think we've covered more or less everything on this one, Archer. Is there anything you think we haven't spoken about? Anything about the sport you'd like to actually tell me and obviously our listeners and those who want to join the sport?
Only that it's a great sport, and as violent as it does look, once you're in a chair and you start hitting people, you can't stop hitting people. So don't be afraid of it. Come down and give it a try.
Archie, Stephen Palmer, the London coach for the London Wheelchair Rugby Club, thank you very much for your time, and I wish you all the best with all your competitions and all your recruitment.
Thank you very much.
And a big thanks to our reporter Jack Andrew there.
The Disability Foundation is a charity located within the hospital that offers a variety of complementary therapies at low cost to those with chronic health and complex medical conditions, as well as their families and carers. They are the only charity in the UK to offer this service, and they have no age threshold. They provide a holistic approach to both conventional and complementary treatments. Their treatments include acupuncture, massage, chiropody, and reflexology, along with many more. To find out more about the Foundation Trust or to get in contact with them, phone them on 0208 954 7373, or you can look them up on their website at tdf.org.uk.
Radio Brockley, on air 24 hours a day.
This is Hospital Radio Brockley, officially London's #1 hospital radio station. Still to come this evening in just under 15 minutes' time, your chance to win some goodies without leaving your bed. It's bedside bingo, and David Rouch is calling out the numbers. And then at 8 o'clock tonight, a whole hour of your favourite tunes on the Sunday Request Show, and Keith Reeve is back in the hot seat. Next up tonight, we speak to Vicky Brady from the RNOH Charity and find out more about the Buttercup Walk. Well, with me now in the studio, I have Vicky Brady, who's the Fundraising and Development Officer for the RNOH Charity, who's coming to tell us, among other things, a little bit about this year's Buttercup Walk. So, hi, Vicky.
Hello.
Can you tell us, firstly, a little bit about the RNOH Charity and what it does to support the RNOH?
So the RNOH Charity was set up to raise money for the RNOH Hospital. So we provide money so that the hospital can carry on providing care for the patients and then supporting the hospital's work and any redevelopment work that goes on here.
And you're launching a new fundraising initiative called the Make It Possible campaign. So tell us a bit about that and how much money you're looking to raise from it.
So the Make It Possible campaign, we actually teamed up with a company called Comran Design Group to launch that. The campaign features RNOH patients and it was set up in the hope to encourage more people to donate to us, and it forms part of the redevelopment appeal, so it's still going towards the £15 million that the charity are hoping to raise. So the campaign is going to be made up of a number of different things. We've got regional fundraising posters that are going round. We've got a animated film that will be launched soon that will promote the work that we do, and also a number of fundraising events as well. So it's made up of a lot of different things to all form the Make It Possible campaign.
What sort of figure are we at the moment, just to give people an idea on terms of fundraising? Is about 5 million or something, is it?
I think we're just over that now,
Yeah.
so just below 6, 5.5, something like that.
There's still quite a long way to go.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us about some of the fundraising events you've had recently and how people can support the charity.
So we had So the back end of last year, we had a Savoy dinner that people came along to, and we had an auction that raised money for the hospital. We've also had internal events, so we had staff wearing Christmas jumpers, we did things like that. We also recently, there was an event that organised by the London Festival Orchestra that we worked on as well with the Friends. And really it's more for people to organise their own events as well. So we have people organising cake sales, organising car washes, all those sorts of things. Plus we have places in a number of challenge events. So we buy places in the British 10K. There's another event called the Dirty Dozen, which is like a muddy obstacle course that people can take part in for us. We've got them all listed on our website, so there's lots of different events that people can take part in.
So if anyone fancies doing one of those events, they can just go straight to the website.
Straight to the website and look under fundraising for us, and there's a whole list of challenge events. Some are based in the UK, and we even have some international events that people can take part in.
The website also mentions that you've had a number of high-profile supporters and patrons of the charity. How do they help support the work that you do?
So we do, yes. So obviously Princess Eugenie is our patron. So she's come along to a number of our events. She's opened units here at the hospital for us. We also have gymnast Max Whitlock, who came along last year to our Buttercup Walk. He's also come along to the hospital to meet the children. And then we had Ollie Webb, who's a racing driver, and recently he did a skydive for us. So they're all sort of doing bits and pieces for us to raise money.
I remember seeing Max Whitlock at the Buttercup Walk last year, and what an incredible year he had success-wise after that.
Yes, definitely.
So it's obviously a lucky thing if you support the Buttercup charity, then
let's hope.
A successful year.
No.
So can you explain a little bit about the history of the Buttercup Walk?
So the Buttercup Walk first started back in the 1930s. Children from the local area went out into the local countryside to pick buttercups, and then they went into London to sell them for us, and all the proceeds then came back to the RNOH.
And it's sort of restarted again relatively recently. This is about the 12th, is it now?
So this is our 13th,
right.
13th year that we've restarted it. Yes.
So when is this year's walk, and how can people register to take part?
So this year our walk is the last Sunday in June, so it's Sunday the 28th of June. There's a number of ways that people can take part and register. You can go online to our website, so to the RNOHcharity.org, and register online. There's a number of postcards that are sort of filtered around throughout the hospital that you can pick up and fill in and send back to us, or you could just phone the fundraising office and we can register you from there.
And it's not just about a walk on the day, is it? There's lots of other events and activities taking place during the course of the day. So tell us about some of those that are planned for this year.
There is. We've got lots planned. So there's a live band. We've got food stalls. We've got the local fire service coming along, so the children can sort of play on the fire engine and have a look and see how that works. We've got a number of stalls. All sorts of things.
The firemen are always very popular.
They are, not just with the children.
yes, exactly.
No,
yes, I've seen that before.
Popular.
You get to go in the engine itself.
You do, yeah. So they show you around, and sometimes they sort of might squirt a bit of water and do all those sort of things. So there's lots going on.
Will the horses be there again this year?
We don't have the horses. So this year, instead of that, we've actually we're looking at holding a dog show for the first time.
Oh, wow.
So that will take place just after the Buttercup Walk, so probably a 2 o'clock start, but people can come down and register their dogs from 10:30, and that will be the first year that we'll be doing that. So there'll be lots of different classes that their dogs can take part in. So there's more on the website that they can look and find out more.
Brilliant. And what time does the walk actually take place, or what time does the event start?
So the event starts from 10, and then the walk starts at midday at 12 o'clock.
I mentioned that last year we had Max Whitlock as the celebrity guest. Is there any news on who this year's celebrity guest will be?
So we're still in talks for this year's guest, but we do have a rather exciting gentleman coming along called Norman. So Norman is 90 years old, and he was actually treated here at the hospital in the 1930s, and he had one of our first ever hip replacements.
Wow.
Norman's father also took part in the first ever Buttercup Walk and walked alongside the Duke of Gloucester. So Norman's coming back for the day. He's going to come down with his son and take part in the walk for us, and have a look around and sort of see how the hospital's changed.
Yeah.
So that'd be really interesting.
Oh, that'd be absolutely brilliant. I hope we get a chance to speak to him.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah. For those who can't do the walk, how else can people support the event?
So they can still come down and support the event that way. As I say, there's lots going on. We've got loads for the kids as well. We've got bouncy castles, slides, all those sorts of things. So they can just come down and enjoy the day, or if they want to, they can send in a donation to us as well. So there's a number of ways they can do that. Again, all of those are on our website.
So let's give the details out of the website. How can people have a look and see what's going on?
So our website address is www.rnohcharity.org, and we're also on Facebook and Twitter under the RNOH Charity.
Fantastic. Well, fingers crossed for a nice sunny day on the 28th of June for the Buttercup Walk.
Yes, that's brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Vicky.
Excuse me, sir. Would you like a raffle ticket? Well, what's the raffle ticket for?
It's for the Buttercup Walk, of course. What else?
What's the Buttercup Walk then?
Well, it's the annual fundraising day for the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital charity, including a sponsored walk, and it's a family fun day with lots of things to do, such as a bouncy castle for the kids, food stalls with terrific food, music, radio interviews from a great radio station, and many more.
Oh, right, I see. Well, yeah, the RNOH is a great hospital. What do I stand to win?
You can win many items, including an iPad mini, a Kindle, Ridgeback bike, £50 Amazon voucher, afternoon tea at the Hilton, and many more.
Oh, OK then. Well, how much are they then?
Tickets are £5 a book or £1 each.
Oh, right. OK, well, yeah, I'll have a few tickets. How do I get hold of them then?
You can contact Vicky Brady at Buttercup Walk at rnoh.nhs.uk, who can give you further details on how to access these tickets.
OK, and when's the draw take place? You know, when's it happening?
The draw takes place on the 28th of June at the RNOH Buttercup Walk.
Oh, right, OK. Thanks very much. I'll have 5.
Very good.
Radio Brockley.
Well, before that, you heard Vicky make reference to Her Royal Highness Princess Eugenie earlier in the interview. She is the patron of the RNOH charity and herself is a former patient here at the RNOH. Well, here's a short clip about her story, as well as from her father, His Royal Highness Prince Andrew.
I had scoliosis of the spine, which my mum found.
It was discovered when she was about 12. While she was swimming.
When I first arrived that night, I went to bed, everything was amazing. I had posters on my wall and flowers and everyone was so nice. And then the next morning, only the next morning was I scared.
I was slightly bemused by arriving in a hospital which I was expecting to see really quite a smart hospital, and then I find that you were in Nissen huts from the last war.
I came here and they put metal rods in my neck and 8-inch screws up my back, which have now fused together and keep me straight.
Having had the operation, which was some time, about 8 hours, her operation, and she was walking the following day and was in for a few days and then recuperated at home.
I remember my nurses were all so nice, and my mum, I remember I came out of the operation and I said, "Water, please." And my mum said, "This is the only time you don't need manners."
She was at the Bolsover Street assessment centre only last week, seeing her surgeon and having a checkup, and everything is absolutely wonderful. There's nothing wrong, and it is working as advertised, and the rods are doing their job.
I'm living proof for all these young people who have the same thing as I have, maybe more so or not. I have done it and been through it, and I want to be able to help as much as I can for everyone. The Princess Eugenie House will make families have a better time here with their children.
The redevelopment appeal for the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital has been a gleam in my eye since I became patron. The fact that the government has said, go ahead, do it, and recognised that actually doing it on the site of the RNOH at Stanmore is, I think, a testament to the fact that this is one of the 3 premier global institutions for orthopaedics. This is the place to do it, and I'm delighted as patron to be able to support the activities of RNOH in their attempt to raise the necessary funds, or the matching funds, that are needed to achieve their eventual aim and objective.
Well, they both continue to do great work to support the work of the RNOH. And if you want to see more about that story, then you can go to the RNOH Charity YouTube channel. Search for the RNOH Charity on YouTube and you can see that clip in full. Don't forget you can listen again to Brockley News by following the links from our website at radiobrockley.org. We've got our very own YouTube channel as well, so you can hear some previous interviews on there. Plus you can tune into Brockley News Extra 5 days a week at midday for another chance to hear some of our interviews. Up next on Radio Radio Brockley, it's Bedside Bingo. Your chance to win some goodies with David Rauch. Good luck if you're playing along. And then at 8 tonight, it's all your choice of tunes on the Sunday Request Show with Keith Reid. Brockley News returns at the same time next Sunday, when amongst other things, we'll be revealing the monthly request chart. From me, Alan Joyce, though. Good night.